industries. We have been building our urban centers. But it means we are incurring huge cost to our ecology and environment. So that is what that is called environmental accounting. That is why it is extremely important to do the environmental accounting. But students, you also should remember, we are not the developed world. We are of underdeveloped. Some people call us emerging economy. Okay, some people call developing economy. Whatever you call it, we are serious difficulties. Next. For instance, this is the context in which we need to understand the functioning of our economy. You know, our problem of ecology and environmental degradation is posing a huge threat to human beings. Now, ramification is indeed more severe in less developed countries that are affected with the chronic problems of political instability, demographic pressure, lack of political will, level of illiteracy, unseen. No. நான் சொல்ல திருப்பக்கூடாது. எடுத்துருங்க அதில். Okay, there we increasing of urbanization, urban poverty, rapid industrialization, basic needs and basic infrastructure, and then there is subordination, gender disparity, high corruption, poor health, poor social security system, population density, more importantly, looming climate threat and its impact on water resource, agriculture, security. So the growing of environmental degradation, need for the environmental accounting to be addressed in context. So we are this world. Our world is afflicted with all these problems. We can ever be part of, okay, we are part of a country where there is 350 million population of urban middle class, rich, super rich, all there. Listen, this is also the country where 50% of the population are living below poverty. So our country is, we are in a sort of a system where all kinds of pluralism, all kinds of issues, all kinds of stabilities. So we really need to discuss environmental problems, physical problems in this context. Okay, see, there's a lot of migration from rural to urban area for job. Okay, and some of us are also very proud that, okay, we are living in this, for instance, about 40% is urbanized. In the course of next 5 years, the state is going to be the most urbanized state of the country. So India is no more a predominantly country, become predominantly urban country. Is it good or bad? You know, the urbanization that took place in the Western Europe or in North America was more of a natural process. Whereas the urbanization that is taking place in India today is disreduced. There is a lot of migration taking place from rural to urban area, which is completely distressing. Why are they out? Because no water, there is no employment, the agriculture is not possible, there is insanity, poverty, for education needs people have to migrate, for health reasons to migrate, all kinds of reasons people are migrating. When they migrate, they also take along with them poverty. So in the process, the rural poverty converted into urban poverty. That you will see in most of the urban areas, including Chennai, 30 to 40% of the people live in slums. That is a difference. So Chennai is a very big city, Bombay is a very big city, the metro city is all very good. About it, we got a rail, all kinds of transportation, we got a big mass, number kids. We are also living in a state where, a country where 30 to 40% of the urban population are living in slums, not able to get 3 schools a day. So this is a context we really need to talk about our problems, ecology and environment, and the need of accounting, ecology and environment. Next. There we have been talking about a great the national account. You said about the GDP called national account, but then there is a lot of talk about greening of the net accounts. Greening. You know what is greening? Greening means while calculating GDP, you are taken into account the cost incurred for ecology and environment, deduct it from total GDP, then what you get, real GDP. That's what is called greening of the national account. But this is a talk going at the level at the government. A lot of talks are gone, but then nothing has been done. So this greening of the national account is extremely important. At the same time, people are greening the national account. People also do talk about, well, we also need development. If you have to develop your economy, there has to be some kind of a cost for ecology and to give a cost. Without a cost, you can't achieve any degree of development. Okay, I agree. Then your development is sustainable. If you can't sustain development, development is not necessary for me. So, how to sustain the development? So, what is the trade-off between your ecological degradation, environmental degradation, and your development? So, there has some trade-off. Somebody has to give in order to get something else. Okay. So, there has to be kind of a balance. How to balance? So, that is what the trade-off. So, what is the trade-off between development and degradation? So, there are questions also. Who decides the trade-off? What is the point? How much cost can we incur? How much sacrifice can we take not to attain certain degree of development? These are all the very intricate details that But then, what is important in the context of GDP calculation and in the context of sustainable development is most important. Can this development go on uncontrollably? Can development go on uncontrollably? But I have t-shirts. Every festival and every occasion I have clothing. This is as you go to mall, you go with the purpose of buying a watch, you buy a few other things. Consumerism. Go to supermarket, go with the purpose of rice, buy many other things. This is generation of 5 tons per day. Today the waste generation is 6,000 tons per day of waste generation. Where does it go? It goes to peri-urban villages. We take the waste from the village, from the urban area and dump waste back as a gift. This is what we do. So every time you throw a waste out of your system, please remember, ask yourself, where is it going to go? It may be water, it may be solid waste, it may be a biological waste, electronic waste. It may be any waste. When it comes out of your system, ask yourself, where is it going to go? What kind of environmental degradation that is going to get? And how much cost it involved to decompose? Related question is it decomposable at all? It is not decomposable, which means it will become a management system. Right? Therefore, consumerism is contributing to ecological degradation. So, there are different kinds of consumerism. There are basic needs, absolutely necessary. Without it, you cannot survive. You need to consume. You need comforts also. You need a good chair. If not a chair, some kind of a comfort. There are certain avoidable consumption. Like I have 2 pens, I don't need 3 pens. I have t-shirts, I don't need 10 shirts. So there are avoidable consumptions. There are also certain stupid consumers. What is stupid consumption? I got 3 people tourism. Many stupid like that. That is, there is a weather explosion and then CO emission contributing to climate threat. Next. Also, issues involving of the national economy. So first we need to understand environmental cost. The cost of river cleaning, regulation of contaminated land, environmental tax, purchase pollution prevention technologies, waste management costs. These are all the costs. A lot of costs involved in environment. There are the conventional system of accounting is that assets like air, river water, groundwater be degraded due to economic activity, resulting in a reduction in social welfare. However, correcting adjustments are made in the this gives false impression of increase in the income while natural is reduced. On the one hand, that your natural assets, wealth is getting used, but on the other hand, you are diluted. Your impression that our growth rate is increasing from 7.5% to 8%. So it is growing. Are you? Should you be really about it? Not at all. That is a GDP growth. So therefore, this kind of unsustainability is not sustainable anymore. There are also accounting. It determines these resources, changes, use and access. It's in spatial and temporal terms. These kind of physical accounting. For instance, how many wells are there? How many wells are contaminated wells? How many rivers are there? How many rivers are unusable, abused? What is the extent of that we are generating? What is, how many of you know, for instance, the extent of waste that we are generating in the city of Chennai? Do you know it? Do you know how much water we are using? Do you know it? We are using 1,100 million liters per day in Chennai. Okay? And generating this as that waste, well, it has to come somewhere. Going back to that, we really have to have this kind of physical accounting. So the monetary valuation of these kinds of damages really give you kind of accounting of damages, environmental accounting or ecological. Next. What extent of pollution of our river? To what extent rivers are polluted? What extent river basins are polluted? What of the air is polluted? What extent our surface and water is unusable kinds of contaminants? What is the extent of solid waste, bio waste, urban e-generation? We are using computers. He has got not computer, one laptop, 3 or more, and we all many parents and electronic gadgets. We got a large number of electronic gadgets, but then throwing up is really hazardous. Just like the throwing, it is very hazardous. Then we got floods, droughts, quite a lot of social classes, a lot of expenses, and all these reduction in quality of life. Got health impact. Are you? The environmental accounting is a process that can only be assessed over a period of time, and in order to do it, we need to have at time this data. So environmental damage is a process. It happens for a very long period of time. It doesn't happen in a day. It is a long drawn process. In order to do that, we have to have time series data. Do we have kind of a data? Can we all our institutes, bodies, the pollution control board, other central government institutions do not collect this information. Even if they collect, they won't give. They would call confidential data. Grows, welfare level goes, but only up to a point. At the green level, when you cross this green point, then it becomes red. That is not sustainable. That is very dangerous. That is really going to become extremely hazardous for humans to live. That is where the ecology is going to backfire, hit you very badly. When it hits you, you and I will not be able to take it. That is why it is extremely important for us to live in harmony with nature. Next. Next. Yeah, I am going to show you some very important pictures, and with that I will close because the chairperson is already showing his hands and only 5 minutes. So I have to close quickly. See, this is one of the important backwater canals, river which joins the Bay of Bengal in Kadalur. Okay, and this is, you know, the color doesn't show up here. This is actually rose-colored water. This is supposed to be water which should be crystal clear. Okay, so this is a backwater canal where the seawater comes in, and then there is also fresh water from the sea, from the river. So this is what is called, this should be called a brackish water. Okay, where the seawater and the fresh water joins. And there were a lot of shrimp farming, fish culture going on, and there are so many boats, okay, and they were doing their livelihoods, and the lakhs of people living on it. Today it is rose-colored water. This is rose-colored water entirely because of the effluent discharged by Sipcot. There is a Sipcot industrial estate located very close to Kadalur town. The effluent generated by them goes, they freely discharge here. And so this is one of the most important natural capital, which means you have lost it. So what is the cost of it? How can you calculate the cost of the damage that you have done to this very important natural capital? Next. 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 See, this is actually a basin map, polar basin map. All these dots are tanneries, leather tanneries. You are all using shoes, you know, leather bags, beautiful, no? They are really, really beautiful. But you know, what is the cost that we are paying? All these tanneries are taking water from the Pala riverbed and discharging back of something like 200 to 300 million liters of effluent back into the Pala river. Okay, and untreated. There are 14 effluent treatment plants, but there's a big story about it. I'm not going to go into the details, but still, despite all the common effluent treatment plants, the untreated water goes back into the Pala river. Pala river today is absolutely dead. Next. Next, please. No, if you look at the levels of the contaminants, the most important is the TDS level. You see, this is the kind of a TDS level, 92,465. The water you drink, the TDS level is 40, 30 to 40. That should be the TDS, total dissolved solids. This should be 40. Look at what is the kind of a TDS level in the water. So huge. And also the chromium level. These are all what is really going into the Pala riverbed. Next. Next. So this is one of the most important spring channels, which is actually, you know, very age-old irrigation system in the Pala riverbed. Now you look at the color. That is nothing but the effluent discharged by the tanneries goes into the river, and there is a temple behind. That temple is actually renovated by the tannery owners as a compensation for the damage they do for the spring channel and the river. Is it okay? This is the kind of the irresponsible industries that we have in this country. Next. This is another spring channel. Next, you have to go fast. Another spring channel. And this is a Palar Anaket, which actually is a diversion here. You will see in the dry season the kind of a contaminants that is there. Next. This is another view of Pala river. Next. Next. This is a tank, irrigation tank, the full of tannery effluent. This is most important irrigation source. Now, who cares for this? I mean, what is the value of this irrigation tank? Next. This is land, agricultural land. You will see this the white spots. This is nothing but the salt. And this is salt not because the direct irrigation of the canal water or the tank water, but because of the groundwater. So even the groundwater is contaminated. When she pumps groundwater, you will see that the land is completely, saline, salt, and the crop at the back is also lost. So this is the cost we have been paying to our environment because of the growth. Next. Contaminated well. Next. 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 So this is, one more, one previous. You see, Pala River, there is a institute called Blacksmith Institute, okay, and they conducted a survey all over the world. They wanted to find out the 10 most polluted rivers in the world. Pala is on top of the world. The Pala River we have in this state is having the third rank in terms of being the most polluted river in the world. So therefore, you will see which means what is the cost of this river? We have lost it. Cost of the sand, cost of the underground water, cost of the land that you have lost, cost of a crop, cost of human health, everything. So you need to really calculate over a long period of time, then only you will know whether the tanneries that they generate, the output that they generate is worth generating. Next. So Kaveri river like that is also heavily polluted. There are 5 major tributaries like Bhavani, Amaravati, Kalingarayan Canal, Noyal, Kodaganar. I am not going to go into the details. All the 5 major tributaries of the Kaveri are so heavily polluted, and finally the pollutant enters into the major Kaveri river. Okay. Now, if you really calculate the damages done to a river, if you calculate all the damages, your GDP will be negative. Your gross domestic product that you are calculating by adding up your total income, goods and services, it is going to be negative. What is the cost of a river? Can you ever calculate the cost of the river? It is a generational cost. It's a huge cost, but you have lost many rivers. Next. 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 So this is a dam constructed across a river called Varathapalayam, a river called Noyal, tributary of Kaveri. Look at the froth, look at the pollutant. And this is the water which is generated by hundreds of dyeing and bleaching industries located in Tirupur town. They generate and store it in a dam. And this dam is never opened for irrigation ever since it was commissioned in 1991. That is because the dam contains nothing but polluted water. Now what is the cost of the dam that we constructed? We have lost it. And now we have lost so much of agricultural land. We have lost the groundwater. We have lost crop growth. And what is the cost of all this? Next. This is the dam. Nothing but polluted water. Next. Go on, go on. Go on. See young girls bathing there in the polluted water. What will happen to them? Who will teach them? This is the reflection, manifestation of our poverty, which I told you right at the beginning. This is the manifestation of our poverty. See, they don't have good water, no water anywhere, so they have to bathe here. Next. So Chennai river. So I told you we are generating about 1,000 to 1,100 million liters of water. Where does it go? It goes into all these waterways. Next. You will see this is the Coombe river and it contains nothing but pollutant. You all know, you have been, this is a part of your natural habitation. You have been seeing every day. Next. So this is a Buckingham Canal. It's a man-made canal, 422 kilometers long, which was once used for navigation purposes. Today it carries nothing but sewage. Next. 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 Yes, this is Adayar river. In a dry season, in a flood season, it carries so much of water. In a flood season, it carries so much of water. But where is this water going? It goes into the sea. And why are we then getting water from Krishna, Teluganga and Viranam and go to distant places when we carry so much of water here? And what is our annual rainfall? Any idea? Chennai city's annual rainfall. Any idea? You should know. Please, this is your city. Our rainfall is 1,250 millimeters. Okay. And Chennai is called the thirstiest city in the country. Why? Jaipur's annual rainfall is 450 millimeters. That is not thirstiest. Why are we calling ourselves a thirstiest part of a thirstiest city? with the 1250 millimeters of rainfall? Because we are wasting water. You are going to speak on the water conservation. So we don't conserve water. We don't care for our water. We always believe in big projects to get water from Telangana, spending 4,500 crores, spend another 1,500 crores to get water from Viranam, and then spend thousands of crores in desalination. There are 2 or 3 desalination plants already. For each desalination plant, we spent 1,000 crores, 10 billion rupees to generate 100 MLD, 100 million liters, with a huge ecological cost. You will see the kind of fishermen, they suffer. And in the long run, it is going to put up a kind of a sea wall with a huge salt, which means the fish hatching won't be there. And small fishermen, their livelihoods are going to be lost. They cannot go off beyond 1 or 2 kilometers because they don't have that kind of a means, which means the small fishermen's livelihoods are lost. But we are getting 100 MLD, million liters per day, by spending 1,000 crores. Why? Is it because we don't have rainfall? We do have the rainfall. Look at the flood, which means we are not conserving. There are hundreds and thousands of 3,600 tanks around Chennai city, irrigation tanks. Chennai city is fast expanding. Tiruvallur, Kanchipuram district are going to become part of the city, which means we are going to destroy all the irrigation tanks. We are going to use it for non-agricultural purposes, and we keep on claiming that we don't have water, and then spend more on this kind of worthless, high-cost investments to get water, and then contribute to our ecological and environmental damages. Therefore, what is important for us is to understand, don't simply go by the production, industrial production. Industrial production means there is a lot of cost involved, and that cost is incalculable. Look at all these. On the y-axis, on the top, you have got river basins. On the y-axis here, you have got the pollutants. Look at the last one, cyanide. You know how poisonous cyanide is. In the Madras basin, every day you get 19 kilograms of cyanide getting into our rivers. 19 kilograms of cyanide. And then Pala river takes 22 kilograms of cyanide every day, and so on and so forth. Okay, what is the cost that we are incurring to our ecology, environment? How to calculate these damages? You know how many people are suffering from all kinds of diseases in all the river basins by consuming this water? Who is going to pay for all this? These kinds of health costs. Today, we are called the hub for medical tourism. Every day you get new hospitals coming up. Okay, there are thousands of mushrooming of pharmacies. Why? Diseases are going up. The health problems are going up. Many people are falling sick. And so the pharmaceutical industries are making huge money at the cost of all of us, particularly the poor people. The 30-40% of the people who live in poverty line, who live in slums, who do not have the means, they are the ones who pay the biggest cost. Next. Okay, government is spending so much of money in all this. We are spending in all these, every plan period, we are spending on all these. The grand total is something like 10,000 crore, every year we spend. All these are in the nature of protecting our environment. But are we protecting our environment? If you protect your environment, our river should be clean. We should grow our forest, our soil should be clean, groundwater should be clean. But then we only spend money, but nothing is added to our environment. Next. So this is about the Ganga. You will see that the Ganga passes through 5 major states with a 2,415 kilometers length, with the 136 drains and 6,520 MLD of a sewage every day. Okay, and it's so much of damage, and we call them a holy river. And thousands of dead bodies are burnt. When are we going to clean it? And what is the cost to our ecology and environment? Next. So therefore, the last sentence I want to read, because I don't have the time. I know Sundar is restless already. The present budget preparation, every time the budget is prepared, there is so much of money but there is only business as usual. We have to maintain certain departments, Ministry of Water and Forest, Ministry of Water Resources, Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Earth Sciences, and so on and so forth. All these are related to our ecology and environment. So we spend thousands of crores in maintaining these departments. But this is nothing but business as usual. But what we have been incurring and what we have been watching and day to day in our life is continuing loss to our ecology, continuing loss to our environment. One day this ecology environment is going to backfire. At that time we are going to pay a huge cost. I don't have time, I can talk a lot, but I don't have the time, so I will stop here. Thank you.
Friends, in fact, Professor Janagarajan is we closely work with him on water issues. He is a great resource on how and where we can get our water for Chennai city. I'm not sure how many of you have followed him on the data that he provided. The fundamental question that he asked is, what is the cost that you are going to pay for the environmental degradation which is being caused due to our so-called development? Our rivers are polluted, forests are dwindling, soil has lost its fertility, cities are becoming inhabitable, uninhabitable, whatever it is. So what is the cost that we are going to pay for all this environmental degradation? And why he asked the question of how many liters does it take to produce 1 cup of tea or coffee is because in everything that we drink, we use, we consume, there is water. There is water in it. For example, I used to talk to your children also. A car that you drive that is being exported out of India consumes 4 lakh liters of water to manufacture that. A jeans pant that you wear requires 10,000 liters of water to manufacture that. So the more products you consume, the more water you deplete. That's the underlying factor that he stressed. It was a phenomenal speech, Professor Janagarajan. I thank him. And now I call upon Professor Murugavel.
Thank you, sir. I request Mrs. Daya, Principal, SBOA School, Madurai, to honor our speaker, Dr. S. Janakarajan, with a memento in token of our love and gratitude.
Thank you, sir. Now I call upon Professor Murugavel. He is a professor in the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences at Sri Venkateswara College of Engineering. He is part of our organization and also he is part of EMAI as its project coordinator. He has been involved in photo documentation of flora and fauna for India for several years now. He is a columnist, writer, and he writes on nature in popular dailies and magazines. He is also a biophilatelist whose collections on snakes and conservation of nature has won national awards. Friends, now I present Professor Murugavel for you. He will talk on nature protects if she is protected.
Check. Good afternoon, everyone. I have been teaching for quite some years, and people say teaching is the noblest job, I don't believe in it. But I'm very sure that teacher's job is the most, a very difficult one, particularly handling a large crowd like this. The reason is simple. It's a very heterogeneous mixture. Expectations levels are different. Proficiency levels are different. And teachers are the people who talk to people who don't want to listen. When a teacher is on, when he talks, if you are allowed to bring cell phones into classrooms, people would be messaging to other students in other classes, or think about what good things they can do during the break, or make caricatures of the teachers, how they look. All these things, pass on notes to one to another. I'm sure that some of you might be doing that now, but I would like to request you to keep all those things away for some time and pay your attention to what I'm going to say for a few minutes. It's very simple. Yeah, when I was given the topic, I was given nature protects. If she is protected, I thought that it shouldn't be that way. We are not that big to protect nature. We are part of the nature. That's what all the speakers had been telling right from the morning. So what I would suggest is, I would request is, if only we keep ourselves away from meddling with the nature. You don't disturb nature. Nature knows how to take care of herself. That's all is expected of us. We don't need to do anything. Nature is wonderful. It's beautiful. It's aesthetic. It's amazing. In front of nature, we are nothing. We are very, very, very small speckle in the web of life. But we humans don't really realize that. I would say it's because of the education that we have got. If you go back to your school science book, you might have seen the food pyramid, where human beings are placed on top of the pyramid. That gives you a sense of, superiority. We think that all creatures are for us. That's the kind of knowledge that has been inculcated into us, which is nonsense. We are no way better than any other creature in this world. Just because we are humans, we give much more importance to humans. Now you see, in few slides I'm going to show you how wonderful nature is, nature's resources are, and how evolution has given us many wonderful things to look at. Beautiful Lucy. Next. Yeah, wonderful waterfalls. All beautiful creatures. Stop. All these things are wonderful to look at. And at one point of time, human beings enter the scene. In the beginning, human beings were also, living a very harmonious life with nature. They hunted only when they wanted food. They made use of whatever resources available in that local area. They lived with that. But as we civilized, as industrialization, got into our head, things started changing. One of the most cruelest invention, I would say, is chemical chemicals in any form, it's not really great. And we use chemicals for, for right from food processing to comfortable living, everything. Next. So, in the beginning, as I said, human beings were in harmony with nature, living in nature. Life was good. Next. Next. And then we created weapon. And what we were using for hunting, the mechanism changed. Next. We started dominating the earth. In that process, we started, doing things that we're not supposed to do. I don't need to explain this. Forest fire. Next. Look at the kind of garbage that we have left. And it's close to a water body. Water bodies had always been the place where garbage is being dumped. You go to any place, people live in Chennai, Pallikarnai once had been biggest water body, swamp. Now, it's only a fragment remains, even that is, considered as a garbage dumping area. Next. Look at the kid, probably a little younger than you, swimming in the garbage-filled water. Next. It's not enough. Abroad, people, they don't go as individual to spray pesticide or weedicide. They use tractors or even airplanes to spray chemicals. Next. This is not the original shape of this terrapin. Long time back, this plastic thing has got into his body and it was not able to grow there. It has been living like this for long. Probably it will die like this. Next. The seal neck has got into a plastic wire, probably an angler's, angling rod wire that has got into his neck and it is getting cut into it. It's a life of agony. Next. A seal, it has got into, some plastic cup that has been thrown somewhere else. Next. Next. Crane, white crane, again wrapped in a plastic cover. I'm sure probably in a week it will die because it wouldn't be able to fly. Next. I'm not sure how many of you know, koala, the eucalyptus plantation that it depends on is totally wiped off. So its habitat is lost or fragmented. Next. A dead bird's inside its crop, the stomach, autopsy has revealed this many plastic items. Though this bird is, a shore bird which lives in the shores, somehow this has got into the system. Next. A kid drinking water from, most polluted water, I would say. Next. Pollution has taken a toll on the fish, freshwater fish. Next. You see how an elephant is poached and its tusks are pulled out. Next. Even more wonderful. This is very common sight. We don't like to look at these things, but this is reality. In National Geographic, we see how amazing these elephants are, but this is what is happening to them. And this is not one and only scene. It's a very common thing. This is not only happening in Africa, it's happening in Indian forests as well. Next. They are not logs, they are all tusks, poached from the elephants and taken back by the wildlife department, and they cannot store them. They are supposed to destroy them when buying stops, selling stops. So they burn all these things. Next. So this is a rhinoceros. Again, the same, fate to rhinoceros, where for elephants it's the tusks. For rhinoceros, it's their horn. Whether it's one horn or two horn, they are supposed to have some medicinal properties. Whether it is true or false, it is. You don't even need to think about it. But as humans, we don't have any right to make life miserable to any creature like this. Next. So the rhinos poaching has increased, so many percentage within, 5 years. In probably 2 more, this statistics was taken in 2013. We are now in 2015. I'm sure that it would have increased, not decreased. Next. Now, the problem is, we are living in a city. We don't even know what is happening in a forest. When the previous speaker asked us how much water it takes for you to make coffee, we gave some number. And he said it was wrong, and we were probably surprised the kind of impact we have on the system. It's all because we have alienated away from the nature. We don't even care to, know what is happening to our neighborhood. How many of us know that what are the kind of trees that are planted in our roads? What are the kind of birds that visit your school campus? What you read in science is not for, getting a pass mark. It is for you to, gain knowledge. Because tomorrow you would be working as an engineer. You may work as a doctor. And what you do is going to have a great impact on the environment. So that's where the problem comes. We are not able to connect what we do with what is happening around us. I'll give you a very simple example. What is your school strength? How many? 1,300. 10,000. Okay. How many, what kind of pens you use? Pens. Reynolds ballpoint pens. Okay. How many pens would you be using in a year? 10? That's all? 100 would be too big, yeah? We'll take a call on this. We'll say 15 pen each student uses in 1 year. How many students are there? 10,000 into 15? I'm bad in math, that's why I teach English. I got 8 marks when I was in 7th, so I said no to maths. So tell me a number. 1 lakh? Is it 1 lakh? 1.5 lakhs. I think the number should be big. 10,000 into 15 is, 10 is 15, 1 point. So 1.5 pens from one school. In the past, when these ballpoint pens were introduced, we used to buy refills and use them. Now nobody bothers to buy refills. We use a pen, chuck it out. That's the kind of impact we are having on the system. What prevents you from using the good old fountain pen? Why nobody bothers to use a fountain pen? We did a similar auditing in our college, and we started a campaign to start, make students to use fountain pens. Imagine there are 550 engineering colleges. Each college, assuming that they have around 500 students, 500 into 550. That number is big. It runs to almost 1 crore ballpoint pens thrown, which are not going to, decompose. They are going to be there for several thousands of years. That is the kind of impact we are having without even realizing the kind of impact we have. We have to critically think what we are doing. So I have many connections like this. I have only 3 here. I can talk more. But I want you guys to look at this slides and let me know in what way they are connected. Okay, here, if you see this beautiful lush forest, can you identify the animal? It's a mountain gorilla. Okay, silverback. Male gorillas, when they reach a maturity stage, they get that silverback. Next. So some work is going on. Probably we'll call it as mining. Next. Cell phones. Next. Again gorilla. Next. You see gorillas poached. Can you tell me the connection between these slides? Mining. Why should they go and mine there? It's a protected forest, no? In what way? No, I want you to tell me in what way these slides are connected. The first one, what I showed has lush green forest with gorilla. Next one, people mining. Next one, you had lot of cell phones. The next one, gorilla and the family of gorilla. And now you see gorillas on the ground, poached. What is the connection? It's the climate. Timeline, no, it all happened in a span of last 2 decades. Nothing to do with the timeline. Okay, next. This is the gorilla collection. When we don't even know what is our cell phone is made of, Each of our cell phone contains the one that I have written in red, columbite, tantalite. We call it as coltan in short. This is a kind of a ore which is taken from the 80% of the world's coltan is taken from Congo. 80% of coltan is taken from Congo, that is used for all the cell phones, for microchips. And they are also used in other electronic items. So when Congo is not a very great country with lot of money, wealth, people, depend on this kind of jobs. And Cold War is also happening. So they get into the forest, mine coltan and sell it. So when they sell, they are destroying the habitat of these mountain gorillas. And also they would be encountering these gorillas which are killed. So abroad, particularly this was done in Atlanta Zoo, where they had set up a separate, a cell where they could get all the mobile phones for recycling. So when it is recycled, the coltan will also be recycled. And in that process, the kind of impact we would have on the mountain gorilla will be reduced. Now, for your information, only 3,000 mountain gorillas are living in that area. If it is destroyed, that will be the end of one species that had been living for several million years. This is connection 1. Next. beautiful rivers. And when India got the independence, so it was Nehru who said, dams are going to be India's future temples. He gave that much of importance to big dams. And for your information, India is one country where we have big dams in large numbers, but it is also the country where we will find large big dams without any water. Now you have something on this. This first one, next. This is number 2, number 3. Next one. Go back. Go back. Yeah. The first one you saw a river. Next one you saw water. Can you go back a little? This one, what is the link? What's the link? Sorry? Oil spill. Oil kadiyada. Okay, how many of you know about Meda Patka? Meda Patka? No, not even one? Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Few teachers and one student. Good. Yeah, another student here. Narmada River Valley project was there in media for in the recent past also, but it had been there for almost 2 decades. In the beginning, when the government wanted to construct a dam, people said no, because a huge population of poor tribals and villages were forced to move out of the places where they had been living. And also, huge forest land will be submerged. That's the kind of impact these large dams on our ecosystem. So people said no, they went on, protest in ahimsa way. Government didn't bother to listen to them. They went to the court. It was a long battle. Till this date, though government has built the dam, they are supposed to give compensation to the people who had been translocated to elsewhere. They are yet to get it fully. So it's having a great impact on human beings and also natural ecosystem. This is another connection which we don't really know. Next. Connection 3. Next one. So I'm not sure how many of you know these birds. I'll tell you, they are vultures. Next. You see vultures feeding on dead cattle. Next. Dead vultures. Next. Medicines. Next. Dogs feeding on carcass. Next. You see leopard attacking in a village town. So what is the connection here? Because of the medicines, vultures died. Why would vultures die because of medicine? Who would feed medicine to vultures? No. You are little connected, but not fully connected. He said vultures died because of the medicine, but the problem is how or who gave medicines to the vulture? Yeah? Yeah, you are one step ahead. When vultures started eating carcass of cattle which were fed with this medicine, vultures died. That is one connection. In what way leopard coming into a city is connected with this? Sorry? Destroyed their habitat. Yeah, that's right. We are doing it, but that's not the reason why vultures came here. To eat what? Why should they come to the town to eat carcass? Carcass will be dumped in a place close to the forest. Okay, it's like this. Anybody else? Okay. Vultures are abundant in India, as it is in Africa. But all of a sudden, probably 20 years before, vultures started dying. Died in mass. People didn't know why. World over, they started spending a lot of money on research. And they found that when these vultures died, they were very disoriented. They were not even able to sit with their head held high. And then they called it as drooping head disease. The head which is supposed to be like this will be like this. And then it will drop down and die. Lot of vultures started dying. In northern part of India, the dead animal's carcass will be dumped in one part. And still, Parsis, they don't burn or bury their, relatives' dead bodies. They have something called as towers of silence. They will take the dead body and keep it there. These vultures will come and eat. That is how it has been happening for long, several million years. But now, when the vultures started dying, the carcass dump yards were unattended by vultures. And also, there were no vultures to feed on the Parsis' dead bodies. So they didn't really know why vultures were dying. And then one researchers who was working in Pakistan found out that this connection. Diclofenac is the chemical component that is given to cattle. It is found in even in our medicines, a small portion of it. This diclofenac gets into the bodies of the vultures and it gets accumulated. Over a period of time, it's getting accumulated. In chemical process, we call it as biomagnification. This chemical gets magnified because of overuse, accumulation, and at one point of time, it has an impact on the creature that it is in. So when they found that the vultures' bodies were dehydrated totally, no water content, then they found that it is because of this chemical diclofenac. They banned it. When even now it is banned, that's a different story. But at the same time, when the dead carcasses were left, dead bodies were left in the open yard, instead of vultures, dogs started eating them. Dogs' population increased, rabies increased, and dogs started straying away into the forest areas nearby. And leopards love dogs to eat because leopard need to put in lot of effort to kill a deer or a wild boar. But when a dog encounters a leopard, it won't run. It will stand there and frozen. All the leopard needs to do is go and take it by the neck and go and eat. So vulture developed a taste for the dogs and they started coming into villages in search of these dogs. That is how human-animal encounters happen. Now recently the government wanted to pass on a law saying that when an animal enters a village or when you label it as a vermin is a wild animal which creates trouble to people. You can kill it. The government wants to pass on a law like this, but it's going to have a big impact. So the leopard that you see in the first one is attacking a forest officer. The second one, I was there personally when we, translocated this leopard. It got into a village, we tranquilized it, and we took it to another place. Not all leopards are that, lucky. Next. So, if at all you want to make a change, it's all in you. You need to have a right attitude. You can be, you see a small water hog chasing a rhino. You can do that. Next. And you need to change how you look at nature. If you're going to let your ego and you keep it at the top and assuming that all other creatures are at your feet, that's fine, but that's not a fact. You have to look at things in the other way where everything is connected. Next. But people say that, even now there are scientists who say that it is the cattle that creates greenhouse gases. Methane is released by cattle and that's going to have an impact on the system. So that's again nonsense. Next. So this is what I'm telling. Think about it. It's, you need to nurture nature. I think you can do it. Thank you. Next.
Friends, it was an excellent talk by Professor Murugavel. He clearly says that we are all part of the nature and none of the species in this earth is above the nature. That's what he wants to stress, and we will have to see how we can co-live with the other species. Thanks, Professor Murugavel. Now we have one of your own student friends. She is Achisma Nandakumar. She is doing her class 12 in your SBOA matriculation school, and she is going to talk on whether it's big or small, let us save them all.
Vanakkam. Bonjour. Greetings to one and all present here. I am Archishma from SBOA Matriculation in Higher Secondary School, standing here in front of this esteemed crowd to deliver a speech based on the theme, big or small, let's save them all. Here, I see a world full of beautiful aspects. The rivers, the seas, the deserts, the mountains, the plants, animals, and most importantly, the people are the most important things on the planet. Yet, this world is being tampered, exploited, and being rid of its magnificence. What do you think is the cause for all these problems? Data shows that wildlife habitats are disappearing faster than ever, and the standard global temperature is increasing precariously. Glaciers are melting, and as a result, floods destroy properties, life, and habitats. Pollution, depriving the world of its natural resources, deforestation are all taking place at a larger scale. Extreme weather are all taking place has become more common these days. Why? At this rate, we are going to risk an unprecedented change in the climate that is going to affect the world after a few years. So what seems to be the problem actually? Unfortunately, we humans seem to be the biggest setback for the planet. The world's population is steadily increasing, which adds increased pressure on the environment. The losses of habitats due to natural disasters have left many rare species on the brink of extinction. Deforestation has led to the increase of levels of carbon dioxide, and so the amount of rainfall we receive every year decreases. Pollution by land, air, water, global warming caused by greenhouse gases has led to a hole in the ozone layer, which lets in harmful UV rays. A very good example of air pollution would be the Bhopal gas tragedy in 1984. Even after 3 decades, people are still affected and children are born with deformities and abnormalities. Destroying natural habitats have rendered many animals homeless, which causes an adverse effect in the food chain and therefore the food web. We have been plundering Earth's natural worlds for years altogether for our selfish needs. Is this the way we have been taught to take care of our environment? I think not. Shouldn't we be more responsible towards our beloved Earth? Shouldn't we protect the world, which is the entire reason for our existence? Conserving the environment and reversing the threatening effects can be a Herculean task. Many poor countries depend upon natural resources to lead a life. In some other countries, environmentalists are hesitating to enforce rigorous laws to help preserve the environment. Due to these factors, environmentalists are reaching out to the people. And even as environmentalists reach out to the people, there isn't much reaction from them. One of the major reasons for this is poverty and lack of civic sense. These days, the cost of living has rocketed sky high, and the poor aren't able to afford a luxurious life. Preserving the environment is as important as administering a vaccine to a small child to prevent ailments. So as civilians, what can we do to save the earth and the environment? Oh yes, environmental conservation starts with you. By encouraging your near and dear ones to plant shrubs and trees will go a long way. Never ever litter or throw rubbish anywhere, anytime. Use disposable items. Always switch off anything which consumes electricity, and most important of all, never waste anything. Apart from these, many non-conventional sources of energy like hydrogen, solar energy, tidal energy, and geothermal energy have to be introduced in mainstream life. Today, solar panels have been set up in Gujarat, Bangalore, and Chandigarh to help trap solar energy. Vermicomposting has to be made mandatory in every living household. Recycling of materials in our society is still in its nascent stage. For all these to happen, awareness has to be raised by the government. But we, as civilians, can start little by little so that the future can get benefited by our actions. One should start believing that our cultural tradition of environmental conservation will help address problems in the future. The idea of environmental conservation was built into India's traditional culture as per the Vedas. People should be convinced about the benefits of traditional culture. The propagation of idea of self-sustainable consumption and environmental conservation will help solve many local environmental problems. Environmental security for our people will help avoid major environmental catastrophes. To exist as a nation, to prosper as a state, to live as people, we must plant trees. Beauty and serenity is a place. The earth is our grace. Therefore, I will conclude by saying this. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is now. Thank you for your great listening ears.
That was an excellent talk by your own student, Archishma. Friends, we have come to the conclusion of this session. I would like to stress only one point. Our earth is not a State Bank of India. We don't have branches anywhere else. There is only one earth. And especially this year, the World Environment Day has got one particular theme: 700 billion dreams, one planet, consume with care. So we should get this message across. I'm sure people, students who are present here will carry this message to your friends, colleagues, family members and neighbors. Thanks for your patience. Thanks for this opportunity. Thank you.
It's been a great pleasure. We are all inspired by your great words, and I thank one and all for being a part of the session. Let's now break for lunch and come back in the afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you.